What's the hot? 180? What's the hot? Hot!
Sports Saturday.
Doesn't look good, Coach.
Can he play?
He's in a coma.
Answer my question. Can he play?
With Joe Fisher and Rashad Taylor.
I don't even think he can breathe. We got to get him to a hospital immediately.
Brought to you by Philbrook Law. Accident and injury lawyers. Your local law team.
You listen to me right now. I don't care what you have to do. Reggie Ray stays in the game, damn it!
Sports Saturday, brought to you by Philbrook Law. Accident and injury lawyers on the Fan Sports Network. 105.1 and 1080.
Somebody jump on sides, damn!
The Fan.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is?
This is football Saturday
Oh
now,
my
baby.
gosh, man. I am so excited. It is early, but I don't give a damn. Here we go, baby. It is official. Oregon football is underway. Oregon State, Portland State. Man, the town is buzzing right now. Jordan, how you feeling, brother?
Woof, I'm tired but excited. I'm not sure. It's
There
kind of
it
one of
is.
those nights that like you don't sleep much, but it doesn't really matter because you know that there's just so much anticipation for this day. And hell, we've had football for the last 2 days. You know, after week 0, we had week 1 get going on Thursday night. So I've already been full DGen mode, getting my betting account fired back up again. This is exciting, man.
This is exciting, man. I am Rashad Taylor. I am your host today for Sports Saturday still. We're not going football Saturday
I called
anymore.
it Football Saturday
Are we really?
On the stream on YouTube.
Sports
so
Football Saturday.
There we go.
There we go, man. There it is. And it is game day. That is my guy, Jordan Schultz, behind the glass. What's going on, brother?
Good to see you, man.
Man,
Happy
it is great to
Saturday
see
to
you.
everybody out there.
Happy Saturday, man. Whether you're driving to Eugene for the game or you're driving to Corvallis, you're really ready to get your football on the day, man. Today is an awesome, awesome day, man.
Woo! Had to throw one of those in there, baby.
Do you know it's been 273 days since the last football game was played in Oregon?
No.
Yeah.
I
That sounds
did not-
crazy, right?
I did not know the exact day count. Rashad.
Yeah, November 30th, 2024 was the last game that was played. It was in Autzen Stadium. It was U of O versus Washington. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we know who won that game. So, yeah, man, it feels good right now. I woke up this morning. Like, obviously, there were some games on yesterday. My UNLV Rebels, you know, we probably saw that what they did to Sam Houston. It wasn't a huge win, but it was a win.
It was a win, baby.
So, that's all we need.
Coach Prime screwing stuff up last night.
And oh no, Boise State lost. Like, oh no, right? You know, so yeah, so because I'm riding high right now, and I can only be riding higher if University of Oregon goes out and does what they're supposed to do against I'm not gonna say a formidable opponent, but somebody they definitely shouldn't overlook, and that's the Montana State Bobcats, and we'll talk about that all this Saturday morning, man. We got until 9 a.m., so we're up early. It's the early one, so if you're rocking with us, thank you so much. If you're getting your honey-do list done, maybe some yard work, or like I said, you're on your way to the football game somewhere.
Preparing the tailgate fair.
Getting your tailgate. I was saying, you're already out there. Or if you're already out there,
the
you know,
smoker's already fired up.
listening on the app and everything. Like, yeah, go ahead and fire up something for us. What's your tailgate go-to? Like, I'm not sure how often you actually tailgate.
I mean, genuinely, that's actually. I'm mad that I don't tailgate enough. Like, I have to work all these games, you know, so it's a little frustration on my part that I don't just get to go. I don't really have friends that like went to Oregon that are still part of like the huge alumni group that go down there every weekend. So that's kind of part of my that's missing from my life. But if I could, Rashad, I would tailgate every weekend. And as far as what my go-to is, it's got to be the pulled pork slider. The pulled pork slider with a little bit of coleslaw on it. I got slices of cheese if you want, but like I'm a cheese fiend, but you don't even need cheese for this stuff. Like just the perfect barbecue sauce, and you get that on the smoker at the right time, and you make sure it's just like low and slow, nice and tender. You got a meal.
Yeah, it's honestly it's tough for me just because it depends on how I feel. If I'm feeling real lazy, then it's going to be just a bunch of brats and different types of sausages and all that type of stuff, you know.
Fine.
And that's, so maybe a couple, steaks from flank steaks, some pinwheels or something like that.
Throw a pot of chili on the grill. You got chili dogs.
Yeah, there
Simple.
you go. So if I'm doing something, if I'm really trying to keep it simple, that's what I'm doing. If I'm going big and bold, or something like that. It's a brisket that's been on for a while or something like that. Something you got to set up shop real early and kind of get there and do it. So
yeah, you don't do like a prime rib or anything or hey, if you're out there and you do 503-864-6FAN, let us know. But like I feel like that might be a little bit too fancy, unless it's like a Big Ten championship.
You're fancy
or
as
something.
hell if you're eating prime rib like
On a football Saturday.
on a football Saturday. Like number one. Yes, please.
Invite me, please.
Yeah, some au jus, a little horseradish. Like, sign me up.
Rashad and I will bring some very good beer with us.
I got you. Whatever you need. Or probably if you're eating that, probably a nice wine or something. That seems like a wine drinker if you're eating prime rib at the football game.
You only need the champagne and beers, the high life, baby.
No, the high life is always the way to go. At least in my opinion, man. But did you catch any of the games?
I did watch the first half and then the end of the Colorado-Georgia Tech matchup. That was pretty crazy. Everybody on social media is up in arms about Deion Sanders keeping timeouts in his pocket, and that is, I think, one thing that we have now learned to criticize coaches for. So it's just, of course, we're not on the sideline in the moment. It's a lot different when we're just playing NCAA football 26, and
but even then we know to use those
timeouts.
timeouts.
Still.
Even then, to use those timeouts.
Exactly.
On NCAA,
you can't keep them in your pocket. But I watched that one, and I watched a little bit of the Auburn-Baylor battle, and Baylor almost came back, but then Auburn late basically just ran away with it, a big old touchdown, a long one. So a couple of games that were on the TV as people came over, and we had a little celebration at the house last night. So it was fun.
I'm sure you saw my Fighting Illini, beat up on Western Illinois.
I was like one of the only top 25 teams in action yesterday.
Yes,
it
was.
Mistaken.
Yes, it was. And mind you, if you don't know, then and then you probably don't know that. Man, I'm pulling for Illinois this year. This is the team, my dark horse team from the Big Ten. I think is going to make some noise considering their schedule. Like they might be able to do some stuff. Now I don't think they're going to beat Oregon once they get there, but hey, that's my pick going into.
I love that you're a Fighting Illini fan this year.
Hey man,
that's
that's the team. I'm an underdog guy. And a lot of people are saying the Illini shouldn't be there at all, right?
Like
and
in the conference, yeah.
Well, not necessarily in the conference, but in that high in the top 25.
I got you.
A lot of people feel like if they are in the top 25, they're closer to the back end of that. I disagree. I don't want to say I disagree, but we'll see what happens. But I think they're going to do pretty well this year. The only game I kind of watch is I watched a little bit of the UNLV Sam Houston, just because for obvious reasons. But I mean, it's football, and I think that's the point. Today we're getting actual football, and I mean, you talk about starting off with a bang in week 1, Texas, Ohio State. Really?
I know.
Like that's what we get to start.
Actually, that's one thing I'd like to get into once we start talking about Oregon v. Montana State. Thankfully, it's a nice time for Dante Moore coming in, a new quarterback for the Ducks, not to have to face a big heralded opponent like a Georgia, like Bo Nix had to in his first game for Oregon. It's kind of an ease-in for Dan Lanning in year 4 after coming off that terrible defeat in the college football playoff to Ohio State last year. Just absolutely embarrassed. The entire coaching staff got pantsed, and we can't forget that. But it is a new season, and I'm excited to see them just ease into it as opposed to this huge matchup, week 1, Arch freaking Manning versus the freaking defending champions, dude.
This is going to be the biggest test for Arch, who's only had, two college starts?
Yeah, he's basically been in there intermittently, kind of a late game or like a mid-game replacement, different look than Quinn Ewers. It was successful.
But
it was just because he was so good, Sark was trying to get him in. But now it's his job.
And now it's his time. I don't know if there's anybody that has more, and we'll talk about, what Big Ten quarterback has the most pressure on them, but you talk about which quarterback in college football has the most pressure right now. I don't know if there's anybody that has more than Arch Manning. I mean, think about this. You were the quarterback for the number 1 team in the country at this point. Your family are basically football royalty, and Peyton Manning, your uncle, and then Eli, both Super Bowl winners, both Hall of Famers.
Yeah, minus being Tom Brady's kid. Like this is fairly.
This is it. There's no more pressure that you actually
fairly
need.
uncomparable.
We've been talking about Arch Manning since he was a sophomore in high school, a junior.
Yeah, the recruitment for him was
insane.
It was a craze, man. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. It was basically it was almost just an S show of trying to figure out where he was going to go for 12 months.
Yeah, and so now Arch has an opportunity to really show what he's made of. And you talk about man, you talk about a great team. This Texans Longhorns team is loaded. Loaded. Like, people there was a lot of surprise last year that they weren't the national champions, or that they didn't make it, as far as most people kind of figured they would. But I think this is the year and mind you, Texas is always one of those teams, much like the Cowboys, who we'll have to talk about later.
Oh my God, I can't believe we have to do that. And honestly, it's probably good that Joe Fisher isn't here.
Oh yeah, he's somewhere crying right now.
Yeah, we
he's
have
somewhere
to talk
crying
about these Cowboys.
Yeah, he didn't return
Oh my
text.
God.
I understand.
The Cowboys are now Maverick status before they got Cooper Flagg, and I honestly, for the first time in my life, Rashad, sympathize with Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
I never thought I would.
I felt bad for him.
Ever.
I felt bad for him.
I do
felt
too.
real bad for him. But the way that people talked about the Cowboys for a long time, forever, is kind of the way we see the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah,
They're always a team that's always been ranked pretty high, even when maybe they shouldn't have been. This is not one of those years that they shouldn't have been. They are top to bottom probably definitely the best team in the nation as it stands, and Ohio State has a huge opportunity to knock them off today. And Ryan Day can keep just building and building on his legacy, because we talked about this last year. I thought he was going to be fired after the Michigan game.
A lot of people were calling for his head.
You don't lose, like, as an Ohio State coach or Michigan coach, that's the one game that you don't lose. Like, you will be fired. And him winning the national championship saved that. So he's not going to be fired. But now if he goes in and at home, right? They are at home, and they beat the number one team in the country. Come on, man. They're strapping a rock to their back, and they'll be in the national championship, no problem.
I mean, I'm just excited for the game in general. On the other side of things, like, it's nice to see two elite teams opening up the season against each other.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed to when I was talking like Oregon and Bo Nix being, in his first start going up against such a stalwart in Georgia, it's a little tough. Oregon, I wanted to say they were on the same level. We were hoping as Duck fans they were on the same level, but Dan Lanning was still kind of on the come up. Bo Nix hadn't quite really been established as the next quarterback and the Heisman Trophy candidate that he was leaving Oregon. So it's just a different feel in a game like this. And frankly, with Texas and Ohio State, Rashad, those are two teams that I've just been hearing all these people that cover them that are in practice every week. Basically, you look at who's on the field, you look at who's taking reps, and they look, like you say, NFL ready. They are so good at every single position, essentially, in that, as we've been hearing said about Oregon, in that, retooling mode. They're not rebuilding, but they're revamping. They're literally just inserting that talent back into those spots that they lost it. And you don't even know the names of these guys that are on the field right now, but they already look NFL ready. And that's essentially going to be a Texas-Ohio State matchup already in week 1 today. It might even feel like a college football playoff matchup this early in the season.
For sure. It absolutely does. Yeah. This is going to be bragging rights for everybody. And who's waiting in the wings? Penn State, licking their chops, because they know, somebody's going to get a ding on their record, and it's not going to be us this season probably. So yeah, this is going to be a great college football weekend. It's starting off with the bang. Texas-Ohio State starts at... Let's see.
That's a noon.
That's a noon kick on
kick,
Fox.
9 a.m. noon Eastern. Sorry.
Yeah, 9 a.m. noon Eastern. There you go. Pacific time. So that's
I've been hearing noon Eastern.
West Coast.
All
West
day.
Coast. So yes, 9 a.m. So it's going to start here in a little under 2 hours. So
it's gonna be good.
That's going to be a good game. So I'm going to be somewhere glued to a TV. We get that one, and then we get the granddaddy. Well, not the granddaddy, but something like that. And that's the University of Oregon playing the Montana State Bobcats. We'll talk about that game next, right here, 105.1 The Fan, the Fan Network.
The long weekend.
on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 and 1080 The Fan.
College football is back. University of Oregon is hosting the Montana State Bobcats today, 1 p.m. kick, right here on 105.1 The Fan Network, and also on the Big Ten Network. If you're at home, chilling, barbecuing, doing whatever you do today, is the weather supposed to be? Weather's supposed to be another
like
scorcher.
80, 82. But it feels hotter lately.
That's perfect. We'll take it.
I'm bitching, man. It's been like so hot, and it's not letting up.
That's perfect football weather, and these young men should have.
It is going to be a nice day.
Yeah, these young men should have a great game, and if you're out at the game, you should enjoy that too. So, I'm don't really know where to start with this team. Oregon Ducks coming to the season ranked number 7, which is great, considering that 1/3 of their team is new. So you've got a lot of freshmen. You had a really, really good recruiting class this year. Again, you've got 13 transfers coming into your squad this year. One of which is Malik Benson from Florida State and Alabama at a point. Didn't get a whole lot of time there, but it's Florida State and Alabama, so that's to kind of be expected at points. But I think the thing that gives me the most pause going into the season is that we don't know much about this squad. We know that they're very young. We know that they're coming from different spaces. We know that Dan Lanning has really tried to condense that playbook of his and really kind of, I'm not going to say dumb it down, but more simplify it for everybody and not have to go as big and bold. And this way, some of those other plays can be used more as trick plays or something like when you really, really need them. Yeah. So for me, that's kind of the one thing I think about the most is I don't really know much about this Oregon team. When you let 10 guys go, a record 10 guys go to the NFL, which is amazing for your program, it kind of leaves you like, who are your impact players? We know Amarian Williams, we know he's one of those guys that's definitely a huge impact player for Oregon. We're hearing more and more about DeCorian Moore as the kind of offseason has gone on and they've been in training camp and everything. He's supposed to be, let me take that back. There are people that believe, right, that he could potentially be close to somewhere around Jeremiah Smith. Now,
That's what we're hearing.
Those are huge expectations to put on anybody because Jeremiah Smith may very well be the greatest college receiver that's, ever played.
Literally could be in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he could be the first receiver taken in the draft.
And he's like 3 inches taller than DeCorian Moore, too.
Yeah, so DeCorian Moore is standing at 5'11", but, as great NFL receivers have showed you, you don't need to be a tall receiver to be impactful or to be, all-time great. But it definitely helps.
Game.
Yeah, but that definitely helps for Jeremiah. So that's not where DeCorian Moore is. However, if he's getting that type of comparison, that's definitely a great thing.
Yeah, see, the skill, you talk about where to start with Oregon, and I think, frankly, the best place to start is the revamp on not only offense, but the defense as well. But we'll kind of look at the offense and then maybe can look at all the guys coming in on defense. They have a few more on the defensive side that not necessarily were transfers, but were already on the roster. They only had 3 returning starters on the defensive side, but I kind of want to go into why I'm not as worried about that side of the ball as I am about the offensive side of the ball here in just a second. We'll highlight the offense with all these new wide receivers. You were just talking about one, DeCorian Moore, 5-star recruit, supposed to come in, and he's got a big job to do for Oregon. He's basically being asked to be the number 1 receiver for a brand new quarterback in Dante Moore. Now, Dante Moore supposedly has a freaking hose, right?
Yeah.
This is a situation that Oregon has now with their quarterback that they haven't had in the last couple of seasons. Bo Nix, he's got an underrated arm, let's be honest. Like we've seen, man, that massive throw that we saw in Denver last season, dude can let it out for 80, 90 yards. Like, we know that. But Will Stein, Kenny Dillingham didn't quite use Bo Nix that way. There was the joke calling him check down Charlie because he was just so willing to dump it off to his running back, dump it off to the second option, the tight end running a curl up the middle as opposed to going downfield. But that was, that dink and dunk offense, especially with a brand new quarterback for Oregon, that was what worked. And you were talking about kind of limiting the playbook, Rashad. That was how they had some success. So coming in now, you've got basically you've lost all your big receivers from last season. Tez Johnson is gone. Trayshawn Holden is gone. Evan Stewart with that torn patellar, he's out for the season as well. Outside of Gary Bryant Jr. and Justice Lowe, you don't have any guys on the roster, at least in the wide receiver room, that caught the ball a lot for Oregon. And with DeCorian Moore, with the transfer Malik Benson, they're going to be leaned on a lot, as is Justice Lowe. Jurion Dickey even got suspended. Some kid that, a kid that was supposed to have some impact this season. August, I think, middle of August. So what, a couple of weeks ago, we heard from Dan Lanning, like, maybe contributing here, maybe at another program. So there's just a lot of guys that are coming in that we're going to see, that we haven't for Oregon. But I'm concerned, but the thing about Dante Moore throwing to these guys is he's got a much better offensive line than he's ever had in his career. Of course, you've got the return of only two guys, Matthew Bedford. Thank God they got him back basically on an injury waiver. It kind of brings that extra little bit of experience needed to the offensive line, along with Laulu, who established himself as one of the best in the program and possibly one of the best in the country last year. He was the kid, if you don't remember him at the start of the year, that was kind of behind Charlie Pickard at the start while they were down, waiting for Matthew Bedford to get back from injury. And Charlie Pickard ended up just eating it, and then Laulu came in and saved the day for Oregon, made their line look a lot better. So they've got that. They've got 3 transfers, which thankfully Dan Lanning in this world of NIL, Rashad, using the transfer portal, it's something that we're now going to see these basically
13 transfers.
Yeah, well, but 3 redshirt seniors coming in on the offensive line.
I'm saying just 13 in itself is a lot of kids coming from a lot of experienced kids coming into play.
Yes, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here is really the implementation of all these guys, right? You see Emmanuel Pregnon, Isaiah. I've heard people say Isaiah Greater than the World from Nevada, their new left tackle. So blindside protection is going to have a lot of experience coming in. And Alex Harkey as well, another redshirt senior on the other side for right tackle. So this is going to be a year of some implementation again of new guys, but I think that the experience that these guys have had in college football already, along with Dante Moore already getting reps at UCLA, I think this is going to be somewhat further along than most Oregon fans think.
I think that's what I'm hoping. Yeah. But like I said, the thing
but
that
it's
gives
still
me
a question.
Yeah, the thing that gives me pause is, and Dan Lanning kind of alluded to it in one of his interviews. It was just saying that there's going to be a lot of guys playing minutes that haven't played before and haven't played a lot of minutes, and that's going to be new for them. And what I worry about is when you're playing a team like Montana State, who we haven't talked about a lot, but we will, don't worry. Montana State is ranked 2nd in the FCS. They have a great run game. And the one thing we saw last year is against that game against Idaho last season, first game of the season for Oregon, they just couldn't stop the run at first. Yeah. They were kind of getting pushed around a little bit. Montana State probably has a little bit better of a run game than that. So are these new guys who haven't played a whole lot going to be able to make tackles down the field? I think that's the big part for me. Are they going to be able to stop people up front? And so we've seen before Oregon start the season kind of slow. Yeah. Whether it was the fact that they were playing a quote unquote lesser team or whatever the case is, we've seen them start slow. I don't think, given this roster, given these new players, given this new quarterback and this condensed playbook, I don't think you can start slow. I think this is one of those games that you have to kind of establish who you are quickly. Now, the lucky thing for Oregon is their schedule, you don't play Ohio State this season. No. You do play Penn State, but you don't play Michigan, so your schedule,
missed some big opponents.
Outside of that, your schedule is pretty favorable. Penn State is going to be the one game that you're really, really, really tested.
Beware, though, there are 4 teams that are coming off of byes, including Penn State, when they face Oregon. So I would say that, despite missing some of the more elite teams in the conference, you're still very scared because you've got a huge target on your back and guys coming out of a bye week.
Yeah, so and they're still and if you're a fan like me, then there are still a lot of question marks around your roster because while you mentioned all those impact players and all those returning guys, there's a bunch of guys. Even some of these transfers haven't played big minutes. They haven't played a whole lot. So you're even looking at Malik Benson, who I mentioned earlier, the transfer from Florida State.
Yeah, his numbers aren't really that high.
His numbers aren't great. He didn't play a whole lot in 2 seasons. And so, yes, there is experience because of age, but is there really in-game experience? And I think that's the thing that if you were to worry at all, that's what you would worry about most, I suppose, in between there. So
I agree, but you can't. I didn't highlight 2 guys, and that is one tight end, possibly Brock Bowers, freaking Swiss Army knife type Kenyon Sadiq. They're going to be throwing him the ball a lot this year. Will Stein, he was saying on Big Ten Media Day, he's like, I wish that I would have thrown him the ball last year more. Like, I'm kind of kicking myself, but I had Terrence Ferguson, I had Patrick Herbert in the tight end room that just made that a lot harder. Now we're going to see him getting the ball a lot from from Dante Moore, and then the transfer running back from Tulane, Mekhi Hughes. Physical kid, he's fast, but he's also got that first contact pop that really gets him the advantage over everybody on the defense, and it's going to be exciting to see, maybe some running back involvement in the wide receiver routes as well. Feel like that kind of opens up the offense for Will Stein. So yeah, all these guys that we haven't seen in an Oregon uniform, or as you just said, Rashad, getting that experience much in college football. At least we have those other guys like Kenyon Sadiq that have been around, and Mekhi Hughes that has had reps that will come in and offset that a little bit. And once again, Dante Moore, this is his second camp here as an Oregon quarterback. Not his first like it was with Dylan Gabriel last year, and not like it was with Bo Nix going into his first game against Georgia. There's a huge advantage there, and I think the comfort level is going to be a little bit better. I'm concerned, Rashad, like you said, about all these new faces gelling together, but let's hope it's better on the offensive side.
No,
compared to last season, what was it, like a 20-some point performance?
Yeah.
I'd like to see Oregon put 40 up today. Dante Moore maybe show us just that little touch of Heisman candidacy that everybody's talking.
I'm really not so concerned about the offense. It's University of Oregon, so I assume at some point the offense will be where it's supposed to be. I think a great start and some consistency to the season would be great for Dante Moore. It'll be great for his confidence. It'll be great for these young guys, these freshmen and these transfers, to really see things moving kind of the right way for them. It should be noted, though, they are playing against a team in Montana State who rushed for 4,700 yards last year and 53 touchdowns, averaging 6.53 yards per carry, which led all of FCS last year.
Yes.
So they're not pushovers. And if you've ever seen these smaller teams, I know Appalachian State and some of these other guys play spoiler to a big squad.
App State got a win yesterday, baby.
Yes, they did. So you do not want to overlook a team like you have with Montana
This
State.
isn't Portland State coming in, is what you're saying.
And they have a mobile quarterback. They have, what's the kid from Lamson from I think that's his last name. Lamson from, I think, was it Stanford?
Yeah, I think they got this transfer from
Stanford.
FBS.
Yeah, so I mean, they've got FBS talent. A lot of times I think the mindset is because you play at an FCS school that you weren't as good, but a lot of times it was a grade issue. A lot of time it was like a travel issue. Some of these people have kids. Like, there's a lot of things that go into the fact that you didn't go to Michigan, Ohio State, wherever, and you ended up at Montana State, or you ended up at, one of these other schools. So there's some real talent on these teams. But one of the biggest talents on the field, or at least we think, is Dante Moore. And this is the Dante Moore era. But what does he need to do to be a successful University of Oregon quarterback? We'll talk about that next. But first, here's Jordan with sports.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, week 1 of college football is here. The Oregon Ducks in action down at Autzen Stadium hosting the Montana State Bobcats in their season opener. 7th ranked in the country, and right now aren't even listed on the betting lines, which means it's supposed to be a huge win for Oregon. You got coverage getting going right here on the Fan. We're already with it here with Sports Saturday, but you've got pregame getting going with the Oregon guys at, this is a 1 p.m. kick, so that'll be at 11. And then, of course, we've got game day here with Andy Dirt Johnson, Dusty Hara, and one Anthony Newman, former NFL and Oregon Duck stud, getting going here following Sports Saturday at 9 a.m. All Ducks all day here on the Fan Sports Network. All right, over to the Oregon State side of things. They're hosting the Cal Bears tonight down at Reser Stadium. Going to be a busy one on I-5 this evening. That's a 7:30 kick on ESPN. Oregon State, a 1.5-point favorite right now in that one. And a quick baseball note, the Mariners taking a hard loss to the Guardians last night. 5-4 the final after having a 4-2 lead, giving that up in the 9th inning. They'll try for another one this afternoon in Cleveland. It's a 4:15 first pitch. That is not a Root Sports broadcast. That is a national TV broadcast on Fox. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Heard missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for the Oregon Ducks, the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM. Fan Sports Network, 105.1 and 1080. The Fan.
Oh, now it's a party. I heard Rusty's in the building.
Yeah, Rusty just got here.
One of my favorite people, man. Shout out to my guy, Rusty.
He's mixing us a Bloody Mary right now.
Is that what he's doing?
No,
I was going to say, I'll take one.
No, he's a former bartender. I'm sure he could
Yeah.
make a freaking mean one.
I'll take
Absolutely.
one, man. I'll take one, man. Today we see a changing of the guard of sorts, Jordan. I want to start here, though. I don't think the University of Oregon gets enough credit for the number of amazing quarterbacks they've had over the last 20 years or so.
I think people are starting to turn the tide a little bit on that, but I understand what you're saying.
I just kind of looked it up as far as like schools with traditions of great quarterbacks. And over the last 20 years, name a school that's had better consistent quarterbacks over and over and over than University of Oregon. Can we say that about Alabama? Can we say it about Georgia?
Are you talking to NFL quarterbacks?
I'm talking to just or we can that can be the metric if we'd like it to be, because there's like I think 4 of our last whatever quarterbacks have been in the NFL. So check this out. I pulled up the last 10 Oregon quarterbacks. From 10 to 1, it's Kellen Clemens.
Love Kellen.
In NFL, right? Played in the NFL, correct?
Of course, yes. He
Okay.
was
I'm just asking.
So,
Yeah.
No, yeah. He was a
Joey Harrington.
starter briefly.
Joey Harrington, Dennis Dixon,
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Mariota, Vernon Adams, Justin Herbert, Anthony Brown, Tyler Shuck, Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel. All but Anthony Brown and Vernon Adams have been in the league. Tyler Shuck was just drafted here a little bit ago. So, I mean, mind you, Shuck didn't stay. The Anthony Brown situation was whatever. Vernon Adams won some games for Oregon. Did really well for Oregon taking over for Mariota. So I think that Dante Moore has a lot to live up to being the next, I'm not going to say great Oregon quarterback, but just Oregon quarterback. You look at what Dylan Gabriel was able to do in his couple seasons as the Oregon quarterback. You look at what Bo Nix was able to do, and I think there were a lot of people that looked at both of those guys who were both transfers. Like, what are they going to be able to do? How come we can't get anybody homegrown? And it's kind of worked out for everybody over the last little bit. Justin Herbert was the last homegrown guy you got. You were successful with him. Didn't get to the levels that you thought you would have gotten to with a national championship or at least competing for one. But with Dylan Gabriel and with Bo Nix, you saw a lot of success, and you even saw a Heisman candidate, in Bo Nix. So Dante Moore has a whole lot to live up to just for the sake of being the next Oregon quarterback.
And I'm just trying to think as far as other teams. Like, I know Purdue, like Drew Brees, right? He
Yeah.
came out of Purdue.
Like, there are obviously teams out there that have like tremendous traditions.
I think
at the
Danny
quarterback.
Moran would
Yeah.
ring me out if I didn't mention USC.
You
Carson
have to.
Palmer,
You have to.
Matt Castle, Matt Leinart, like
Sanchez, all of them. You have to.
Sanchez, like Sam Darnold, obviously. like,
Caleb Williams, like you have to
John David
mention
Booty
these guys.
was a backup for a while.
Yeah,
Like,
so you have to mention like those guys, but I do think Oregon should be mentioned in that conversation as well.
I hear ya.
Especially as of late. It's been 20 years of really, really good quarterbacks. Like the worst one so far was Anthony Brown. Of all those guys,
I would say the transfer Dakota Prukop didn't really work out.
Dakota Prukop
They gave him
but
half
he
a
didn't play
season.
much. Yeah, but he didn't play much.
But he was
Dakota-
supposed to be a starter.
He was supposed to
Yeah.
be, but he didn't play much. So, players mess up. And so that was the one time that things didn't go well. But Dante Moore is somebody that I think has a lot of expectations on him. Are they Heisman expectations? Who knows? Well, I guess
Some
today,
people have them.
Some people have them, but I guess today will tell us a whole lot. He's coming in as a junior. Here's somebody that started at UCLA, had an opportunity to be the guy, and just, wasn't the fit for him, which is fine. And then learned for a year this Oregon offense.
Still a redshirt sophomore.
Still a redshirt sophomore, excuse me.
Yeah, no, he took his red shirt last year, barely played.
So learn for a year under this new regime that he's playing under, and playing under a now an NFL quarterback and Dylan Gabriel, really learning the system. Everybody thinks this kid has a cannon. Like, so
He's got a freaking hose.
Yeah.
I was talking about, Bo Nix is an underrated thrower, and the level of big passes or the number of them that Will Stein was calling just wasn't that high. It wasn't necessarily something that was high up in his playbook. Dante Moore has a skill set, talent-wise, at least people are saying, like, comparable. I saw Kenyon Barner, former Duck, just quoted in the last 24 hours talking about an Aaron Rodgers type of skill set when throwing the ball.
Oh, wow.
Like, this kid supposedly has a hose. And remember, same recruiting class as Arch Manning, right?
Yes.
Second quarterback behind Arch Manning. He was literally the next best option if you didn't get Arch Manning. And yeah, had a crappy year at UCLA, but once again, it's a crappy offensive line that he was behind with no talent. Now, the expectations are high, but this guy has the ability to give Will Stein to open up the playbook, and that's something that Oregon hasn't had in the last 3 seasons.
And I think, with a new quarterback and with somebody that's really trying to establish himself, especially against a team like Montana State, who, let's just be honest, like, they are not as talented across the board as a team like Oregon is. They definitely have some talent in certain spaces, quarterback, running back, maybe some other spaces, but across the board, they don't have the talent that Oregon has. I do still think that for this new quarterback and to kind of ease him into this roster, to this offense, man, just keep it simple at first. Let's keep it simple right now. Avoid complicating the game with like excessive gadget plays right now. You don't need it. You got a cannon. Your receivers are probably faster than their corners. Let them air it out. Yep. But, try to make some explosive plays like through the air and everything.
You want to see him take some shots.
Let's see what you can do, especially against these guys that, they're FCS talent. So again, not saying they're bad players, but they're not up to the talent level.
Stop it. Can we? I love you, Rashad.
No, it's just being real.
I know that, but let's not talk about this like Oregon isn't going to win by 30.
No, they are going, and this is why if you're going to do that, let's see where you are. Let's see what you can do. Like, let's see how these toys work. If you're going to drive a Ferrari, are you going to go 15 in it? No,
I get what you're saying, and I like the point.
Let's see what we're doing. Like, we can keep this
go
simple.
200, baby.
Yeah, for real. Like, we don't need a bunch of trick plays and stuff. Let's air it out. Let's see how this works. Let's see how good this hose is that you're talking about, and let's try to take some chances. And so I think that's the one thing. Let's keep it simple. Let's run the ball. Let's throw the ball. Let's play. Let's establish what new Oregon football looks like without all the extra plays and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I like, as we said in the last segment, implementing all these guys, it's going to be interesting to see the new faces with Oregon trying to get involved in the offense, and we'll see how much. Frankly, I'm hoping that it's such a blowout that we're seeing like Austin Novosad by like the second half, right? I want to see how long the starters
by the fourth
play.
quarter, your bench guy should be in. Your second, third string guy should be able to get minutes. In the fourth quarter.
And
like,
really,
that's the type of win that you want today.
Yeah. So really, I'm wondering how much we're actually going to see the starters today. But as far as like what the expectations of Dante Moore are, I just want to see him look competent. I want to see not necessarily like a 600-yard performance, but I think I mentioned at the last segment the sprinkling of Heisman promise that we're seeing. Like,
that's all you need, a little bit.
Let's see a couple of those big plays. Let's see Will Stein give him the opportunity to open up the playbook a little bit and maybe connect with DeCorian Moore. Maybe establish that nationally, like look-wise, where everybody's back in Eugene like, like I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep my eyes off of this like they weren't able to keep their eyes off of Jeremiah Smith last year. Is it the same? Of course not. But if Oregon can get that number one wide receiver talent, I think that's something, especially in the Big Ten, that they're really going to need. And it's something nationally I think would probably just get them in a lot more of the highlight packages. But the Ducks are in, I would say for me, a weird spot. I'm not usually one that's lower on them. I'm super high expectation Duck fan, right? They're number 7 in the country, but I'm kind of like wondering if that's maybe a little bit too high too quickly.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Without being a hater, like, no, just being realistic. Like, when you have, like I said, a third of the roster is new.
Exactly.
When that's the case, it's like, how do you really justify that? But you do have an amazing recruiting class. You did get some pretty impactful transfers, and so like you take all that into consideration, and maybe number 7 is great. Like, would you have been happy with like 11 if they came to the season like 11th? I think that would taper expectation a little bit if they were outside of the top 10.
It's the fact that people still think that they're just going to compete for the national championship. And I kind of thought coming in with the new quarterback in Dante Moore, with so many new players, that wasn't the smartest hope to have for them. But seeing what other people are saying for them, I might be starting to flip. And you're asking me once again, what do I need to see from Dante Moore today? What are the expectations of him? Poise. Couple of big plays, and just looking like he's been there before, like we've all heard since he's been there for 2 camps in Eugene. He's had experience in college football. Maybe can take this Oregon offense to a new level, and I just want to see sprinkles of that today. So that's my expectation of Dante. A couple of big plays, but some sprinkles of what we're going to see this season of Oregon's offense, hopefully taking that next level up.
Well, what we're going to get to do today. We're going to get to talk to Dusty Hera, host of Ducks Game Day, and we can ask him some questions about all this stuff if you want to. We're going to do that at 8:15, so that's just around the corner for us. But next, man, since you talked about it, since you said, let's be real, like Oregon's going to win this game, are Ducks fans being too confident about this? Are they overlooking Montana State? I guess we'll talk about that next, right here, 105.1 The Fan.
Stone Creek Golf Club, named Oregon's best. Sports Saturday on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 and 1080, The Fan.
7:46, yes, 7:46 a.m. on this beautiful Saturday, August 30th. Man, it is football Saturday. We are here on Sports Saturday. Rashad Taylor and Jordan Schultz. We haven't mentioned Joe. Joe is in San Francisco. Is that where he said he went?
Yeah, watching the Giants take on the Orioles, I believe, something like that.
Tight. This is where he needs to be right here. This is where the party is. It's right here in Portland, Eugene, Corvallis. This is where it's going down right now. It is college football. Oregon State plays Cal today. Like, just in case anybody cared, I know this is Duck Station, but just in case anybody cared and wanted to watch, I don't know what channel it's on. I don't even think it's on. Is it? Is it really? There you go.
That's what it says.
Yes. So they play at 7:30. 7:30 kick in a pretty nice, Jordan and I talked about this often, a pretty nice Reser Stadium now. It's much nicer than it used to be. It looks like an actual college stadium now, so it's a little more fun to go to. The least favorite thing about that is what's that saw y'all do at Reser? Yeah, that's the least. That's the most. Yeah, that's the most annoying thing.
Yeah,
if that happens.
That literally makes me never want to go to a game again.
Yeah,
If I hear
that
another
drove me crazy.
chainsaw on a third freaking down, and honestly, you know what? To that point, I love my Ducks. I love Autzen Stadium, but I hope to God this year. It's game 1, so I don't know if they're changing any of the
Stop doing
elements.
shout.
No, it's not the shout thing that I have a
Okay.
problem with. It's every third down they use that ramp up song, which is the opening to Dirt and Sprague every morning here
Okay.
on the Fan at 6 a.m. It's like the dun 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 dun, and I can't think of the name of the song, but literally every third down, I hear that clip and I'm like, oh my God, let's use something else.
Yeah, we can
I am
find anything
in,
else to do.
Yeah, I'm in a white box of deja vu. Come on, let's use some other sounds.
So more annoying, that or the chainsaw?
Oh, the chainsaw by far, but
Is it because you hate Oregon State that you
No.
hate the chainsaw?
No, it's I actually genuinely like growing up in this business. Like I've loved the chainsaw. I use the chainsaw as a sound effect when I'm on the air, but it's just hearing it over and over again is a bit different. So
No, I feel you. I think it's annoying. Yes, I'll definitely say that. As much as anything that happens in Knoxville, Tennessee, is annoying. But
yeah, we get to see Sagapolu Tele today, right? For Cal, the
Yes,
kid
we
that
do.
left Oregon after seeing Dante Moore.
Yeah,
he's like, I
he
don't
got
think
there.
I'm
It's
gonna
like,
start
yeah,
here.
I think I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Hit this good old portal. But
I'm excited for that tonight.
yeah,
for sure.
Duck fans should be incredibly confident. But are they too confident going into this game? Here's why I ask. There is a history of slow starts for the Oregon Ducks. This isn't just the Dan Lanning thing. This goes back to Chip Kelly at points. There is a history of starting the game slow and eventually picking it up either before the half is over or just as the second half is starting. They struggled in the past with season openers specifically, shaking starts against Idaho last year. We saw that, as fans feeling kind of anxious, we talk about it on the show. As soon as the Ducks have the first couple games of the season, they're not great. We're like, man, dude, I don't know if they have what it takes. Like, this offensive line looks bad. This defense isn't able to tackle. Like, we're going through all the negatives because they're starting so slow. And by the time they get to week 5, week 6, it's like, okay, they're rolling. There's nothing we can say. But should they be concerned about a slow start, especially against a team that has a really strong run game?
I mean, once again, this is an FCS opponent. I would assume that they're going to score 40. But to open the season last year against Nevada, they scored what? Like
Idaho?
24? Idaho,
24-14.
It wasn't a lot. And I understand, me included, a lot of people took that and were a little frightened to start the season. But once again, it's back to Dylan Gabriel and the implementation of a brand new quarterback. I mean, he threw the ball a lot and looked okay, but the whole offense didn't really look okay. And as you said on the defensive end, Rashad, they weren't really tackling. But I guess as far as the tackling goes, just really quickly, let's address that. I am not concerned about that in the slightest because not only do they have 3 returning full starters in Tatum Tuioti and Bryce Betcher, as well as Mateo Uyunglele. It's kind of crazy, by the way, that Mateo is the more talented of the Uyunglele brothers. Like, he's going to be making more in the NFL, and we didn't think that 3 years ago.
No.
But I digress.
It's like that
But
sometimes. That's how college football works.
It's how it works, but it's just crazy to like wake up and think about that. Like, good for you, Mateo. Like, you didn't think that either, and now that's happening.
How many
for
times
you.
have we seen somebody, and this is why I love college football,
Yeah.
and really college sports in general. How many times have we seen somebody be the number 1 recruit,
Yep.
the best kid in the nation, and they get to college and they're good, but that guy who was maybe a 3-star all of a sudden grew into his man body and learned how to lift and learned how to work, and all of a sudden they're undeniable. At that we see it all the time. How many number 1 picks have we seen that have just turned out to be at best, and then the guy that went in the 3rd and 4th round, 5th round ends up being the stud. So that's the one thing that can happen because these guys are still developing. They were kids when they were recruited.
No, it's true.
They
But
were kids, and so
it's just crazy to think about.
it is. It absolutely
I
is.
digress on that. But on top of the 3 starters, you've got a lot of guys returning. There's some transfers in. The big one, big get for Dan Lanning from Purdue. Dylan Thieneman, the safety
Yeah, the
coming
safety,
in.
yeah.
Big kid, probably the best safety in the country.
Fingers crossed.
Basically makes Oregon's defense top 5 immediately. It formulates them to match up against an Ohio State, against a Jeremiah Smith.
And I think you have to do that. You have
Yeah.
to build. You can't just build like a fast roster. No, you've got to be able to.
You've got to
compete
match up against the
up
big
front
guys
and,
in the big
and
moments.
in the backfield against these guys. Or excuse me, in the secondary against those guys. So when you got guys like Jeremiah Smith who are, again, arguably considered, one of the greatest receivers in college thus far, and he's not even done with his career.
Yeah.
You need guys to be able to try to stop him. So Montana State's not your typical FCS team, though.
No.
They're not a pushover. It's a team that's coming off of a FCS championship game. They didn't win, obviously, but they're a run-heavy offense that can cause a whole lot of problems, man. And Dan Lanning even kind of noted, man, these guys are dangerous. And when you have a mobile quarterback, somebody like Justin Lamson, who we talked about is the transfer from Stanford, like, you have an opportunity to really create a whole lot of confusion for a lot of young guys. You talked about the defense, but there's a bunch of new guys on that defense too. There's some starters and some returners coming back, but there are some new faces on that defense as well.
There are, but
Yeah.
there's on top of the 3 starters coming back, you've got Jaleel Florence, who was already in the program last year. Aaron Flowers, still a redshirt freshman, was already in the program last year. Dalen Austin, already in the program. Like, these kids that have been around that are just kind of slipping in, on top of a guy like Dylan Thieneman and a couple of other transfers as well. Bear Alexander in that to kind of, shore that front four. Amari Washington already been on the team. Like, these guys have been at Oregon, and it's not like you're replacing, 18 starters
no.
all with transfers.
Yeah,
You've got transfers
nothing like
coming
that.
in, but there's thankfully a level of talent and a level of understanding of what the program is, and
I think that not having like
they're trying to feel that vibe of what they're trying to establish.
and I think college not having a preseason or anything like that, it takes a while to kind of shake off the cobwebs and really get everything working the way you want it to. And so I think that's why, if for nothing else, it's the first game of the season. People are still trying to figure out where they fit. This is some of the first consistent action that some of those new starters are going to be seeing. And so that's the only part that's like, mind you, they've been playing football since the beginning of their lives. So football is nothing new for them, but just kind of shaking out the cobwebs and making sure everything is tight as you move into the season. This is usually the game where things are a little shaky, right? And so you saw that last night from Colorado. Things just don't look great, even though you got the number 1 quarterback in the country and all that. Things still looked real shaky for you last night, and you lost a close one in the end. So that's not what you want. And I think when you overlook a team like Montana State, it's easy to be like, easy dub, right? And it should be an easy dub for you.
Yeah, but man, this is
that can also come back and bite you in the ass.
It's true, but this is a program with a very high standard. I don't think that Dan Lanning is overlooking anybody.
Oh, no, not Dan Lanning.
They're all about going 1-0 each week.
Yeah, not Dan Lanning. Definitely not Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning knows, I think he knows what each of these teams is capable of, but I think when you talk about some younger players, you look at those beautiful uniforms they're going to be wearing today. It's going to be a beautiful. I think it would be hard for some of those young people, not all of them, but some of those young people.
Bro, those guys won't be playing until the fourth
moment.
quarter. But I understand. I understand what you're saying. But yeah, this is going to hopefully be just a day of, hey, we're going to establish the vibe for this season. We're going to see a much more confident team coming out of the gate. Because it would be a little. They went 13-0, but would be a little nerve-wracking again. Duck fans were on the edge of their seats, just like I was after game 1 last year against Idaho. Like, if they only come out and score 20-some points, like, let's not have that, okay?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not worried about it.
There is a 95.5% chance of Oregon winning this game.
ESPN FPI is all in on Oregon.
Yeah, and so there is a 4.5 chance of Montana State walking away with the dub today. I lean to the side of Oregon. That 95.5 sounds pretty good. I don't think Oregon's going to lose this game. Oregon should win this game by a whole lot.
I expect to see Austin Novosad under center.
Yeah, we should see
in the third quarter.
Yeah, we should see the second and third string guys on the field by the fourth quarter, at least by the fourth quarter. So,
and hey, not to have a throwaway mention of Austin Novosad, because you can't do that.
He competed all off season for this job. It's just Dante Moore was the guy.
And there are teams that he could start on.
Any other team, he's the starter more than likely,
Yeah.
And so he just happens to play on a team right now with a guy who was, as you mentioned, was highly recruited coming out of high school, and somebody that a lot of people have as somebody that can be on the Heisman board, towards the end of the season. So, yeah, so he shouldn't feel bad. Know that you're going to get your opportunity more than likely, but it might be time to get into that transfer portal, because if things work out the way that I think most people believe that they're going to work out for Dante Moore, then he's your next Oregon quarterback for the next couple of years.
I hope it's Heisman Trophy candidate Dante Moore. I really think that this offense gives him the weapons to take that next level up, and Will Stein is probably the best offensive coordinator he's ever worked with. And frankly, I don't know how much longer the Ducks are going to have Will Stein. If you saw those interviews during the summer, man, he is so
He's being
fun.
primed.
He's charismatic. Yeah, you're right. He is being primed to be a head coach somewhere. I am scared that they're going to lose him after this season. I'm sure, once again, next guy up here at Oregon after Dillingham, they went and found Will Stein. But, man, that relationship that he has with these guys, it's just so locked in already. Hopefully they can take advantage of that this season.
Well, we'll see, man. Again, 1 o'clock kickoff. Big Ten Network, 105.1 The Fan Network, man. You can listen to it right here. This is going to be a great game. It's going to be a great day if you're an Oregon Duck fan. It should be a great day if you are a Beaver fan as well. You know, I think the Beavs are favored by 3.5 to beat this Cal team. So, yeah, it should be a great day all around. I'm not sure who Portland State plays, but I'm sure they're going to get that win too. So, let's go all Oregon schools right now. Yeah, we'll definitely take it. Coming up in the second hour, 8:15, we're going to talk to Dusty Hara. We're going to ask him some questions about the big game today. We're also got to talk about this whole Micah Parsons thing, man. Like the Cowboys, Dallas in general just fumbled 2 generational players in the same calendar year. Not sure how they did that. And yeah, all that and more. And then coming up next, man, which Big Ten quarterback has the most pressure to win this year? I think we all kind of know the answer, but let's talk about it anyway. That's coming up next right here, 105.1 The Fan.
$1080 AM.
First on The Fan, week 1 of college football is here, and your number 7 Oregon Ducks open it up by taking on the Montana State Bobcats down at Autzen Stadium this afternoon. Game day getting going right after us here on Sports Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on the Fan Sports Network. And then you got the Ducks pregame, Jerry on, Mike Jorgensen live from Autzen Stadium, getting going at 11, kickoff at 1 p.m. here on the Fan Sports Network. You can watch it on the Big Ten Network as well. Oregon State also in action for week 1, hosting the Cal Bears down at Reser Stadium. That's a 7:30 kick on ESPN. Oregon State a 1.5-point favorite there. And quickly, a note out of baseball, the Mariners taking a hard loss. They had a 4-2 lead going into the 9th. The Guardians, unfortunately, came back to win 5-4. They are Going to go for the second game of the series this afternoon, 4:15. First pitch, that's not Root Sports. It's a national TV game on Fox. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Heard missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Recruiting with Andrew Nemec, Thursday evenings at 7 after Isaac and Souk on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Billingsley! Party at Taylor's house now, Billingsley! You better be there! We're gonna get wasted! Party at Taylor's house! Billingsley!
Sports Saturday
Let's it go!
with Joe Fisher and Rashad Taylor.
He's gonna heave one deep down the field! It's gonna be to the goal line! It's gonna be gone! It's a touchdown!
Brought to you by Philbrook Law, accident and injury lawyers, your local law team.
Oh man! I can't believe what I just saw!
Sports Saturday on the Fan Sports Network.
He can block, tackle, score the touchdown. Hell, the boy will fill up the Gatorade cooler, walk the dog, and paint your backcourt.
105.1 and 1080.
And he can pass.
The Fan.
8:03. Yeah, right, wrong, that was wrong. 8:03.
We're used to being on.
We're used to being on from 9 to 11. So there's going to be some days that we are having a 7 o'clock show, but for the most part, we should be 9 to 11 most of the time. So it's 8:04 on this amazing Saturday. Shout out to Joe Fisher for making the new opens for the show. Man, I'm a big Friday Night Lights fan. I even have a Boobie Miles jersey.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that I wore to the Wu-Tang concert. I don't have a jersey to wear to Lil Wayne. I'm going to Lil Wayne on Monday. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Should be fun.
Yeah, at this point, as all our rappers are getting old, I think this is the time where all of our artists, just in general, are getting old. If they're going on tour, you got to go see them. I thought Brandy and Monica were gonna come this way, and I was definitely gonna see them sing "The Boy Is Mine." That would have been a great little time. But they're not coming this way because nobody likes the Northwest, and if they do, they skip right over Portland. They go with San Francisco, then let's go to Seattle and go to BC and stuff like that.
Everybody
they just don't
skips
come to Portland.
Portland.
Yeah, it's all good.
We're the
man.
redheaded stepchild of the West Coast, I guess.
That's usually how it goes, man. And point of information, I forgot, Anthony Brown did play in the NFL. Remember he played for the Ravens?
Yeah, he backed up Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, when he got hurt. Remember, he wasn't great though. He had like 2 picks, no touchdowns. Like he was pretty much Anthony Brown.
But I wonder if it was he was a Boston College quarterback before he
was.
transferred to Oregon for his final season. But
Yes.
you wonder if the Ducks label got him a job. Like I don't know at this point. Like there's so many
Could
reasons.
have been the Boston College label.
No,
got him a
exactly.
job.
There's so many reasons scouts go with a particular player in any different sport. A lot of it is like, guys that So yeah, maybe over there in Baltimore, they had seen Boston College games and were familiar with Anthony Brown's game. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there it is, man.
Another
So,
Ducks quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, shout out to Dusty who actually texted me. He's like, yeah, Anthony Brown did play for the Ravens. Like, I totally forgot this fool played for the Ravens. He wasn't great there either, but yeah, so
He was there.
So there you go. But the list of Oregon quarterbacks that have gone to the NFL it's pretty lengthy at this point, especially over the last 20 years or so. Right now, the Big Ten is full of quarterbacks that could potentially be in the NFL over the next little bit. And the question was kind of posed, like, which Big Ten quarterback has the most pressure to win this year? And I guess Jordan and I will just say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Drew Aller.
Drew Aller.
There we go. So I don't really think that's the unanimous decision. The only reason it's Drew Aller is because Arch Manning doesn't play in the Big Ten. So this is a guy who we saw how good he was last year. Really, the big concerns are about just getting the ball down the field for him. Like, I think a lot of people want to see kind of that big game, that big arm that he's supposed to have. Yeah, in the James Franklin era, he's led the team to 10-win seasons. He consistently, he's defeated some good opponents. He's had good but not great seasons. I think that's the biggest thing about Drew Aller. And if we're being honest, I think that's the big thing about James Franklin. Like, they're good but not great. I think both of them need to be great this season to really make their stamp, put it down in the Big Ten.
I'm kind of looking at Ohio State as well, wondering if their new quarterback, Julian Sayin, is somebody
Yeah.
that's facing even more pressure than Drew Aller possibly, just because you kind of expect them to run it back, right? They've got a lot of guys like Jeremiah Smith returning. Yes, they replace his next guy up there. It's the same thing we were talking about in hour one with Texas. It's like guys that are NFL ready are on the sidelines. You don't know who they are, but they're basically already playing at Ohio State and keeping them at the level that they were. That puts a lot of pressure on a new kid like Julian Sayin. But then Aller, man, the expectations of Penn State this year are higher than they've ever been,
Yeah.
right? I don't remember Penn State being, this far up in the lexicons like since
It's been a while. It's been a long time.
like 10 years before the Sandusky scandal.
Yeah,
It
it's
has
been a
been
long time.
a long time that program has come back from the depths of not only irrelevancy, but just gross behavior. And you can say that you never root for them again, whatever, but Drew Aller does have a lot of expectations on him just because of where the program is. And I'm not sure he is that. We haven't seen him be that 500-yard, passing game breakout type of quarterback. If you're saying, oh, hey, if I had to choose Dante Moore in a game of NCAA Football 26 or Drew Aller, you're picking Dante Moore. You're probably picking Julian Sayin. You're picking Dylan Raiola. There's a lot of quarterbacks in college football right now that have a lot more talent than Drew Aller. So that's also why I think there's a lot more pressure on him.
Yeah, Drew Aller was dealing with a new system last year, a new offensive coordinator last year, but now with a year of experience with that offensive coordinator and with this roster, which is incredibly loaded, he has an opportunity to really be the guy in college football this year. Right now, the guy we all know is Arch Manning. He's the guy that plays in Texas. He's the one that everybody wants to see. He's the golden child, right? Last name Manning, so obviously he's going to be the only thing that could be as good as if your last name is Brady. That's pretty much it. But if you're Drew Aller, number one, you are the most seasoned of any of the quarterbacks from any of the competing teams that are there right now. Both Ohio State and Michigan are starting freshman quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pressure for both of those teams to do well. Michigan, maybe not as much because of some new things that have popped up for them. But other than that, they are expected to compete against Ohio State. So there's a lot of expectation there. Bryce Underwood, the new Michigan quarterback, so we'll get a chance to see what he's able to do today. He's a highly ranked player from the class of 2025, was super sought after. But he's got a lot of sky-high expectations in Ann Arbor. They're super high. Saying the same thing. He's got to prove that he's capable of being the leader in a quarterback room that's loaded at Ohio State. So I think that...
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, for some reason, Underwood doesn't even register to me, at Michigan. I'm not sure that, their quarterback is even on my radar right now. I just think when I think of a great college quarterback, I think of somebody that elevates the talent around them, right? And last year, Penn State had two of the best offensive pieces. Their running back was really good. And then, of course, Tyler Warren, the best receiver outside of Jeremiah Smith in college football at tight end. Now he's in the NFL playing for the Colts. Yeah, next guy up, once again, Penn State has some talent to replace those guys. There's a couple of really good tight ends that were already on the roster this last year that they're going to be getting a lot more balls thrown to them by Drew Aller. But once again, outside of I'm looking even at his game logs, overtime last year against USC, he had that really good game, 391 yards, but he also had a bunch of extra opportunities to throw, and frankly, that was just a different game than how their offense usually works. Penn State, they like to control the offense with the run game. They don't air it out with Drew Aller, and that's one thing that I just don't think that Drew Aller is even given the ability to elevate his guys. Dylan Gabriel for the Ducks last year, Will Howard for Ohio State. Those are the kinds of quarterbacks that elevate guys around them, right? And I just don't think that Drew Aller has that title in my mind, which once again just goes back to him. He has the most pressure in the conference.
Yeah. Another guy that we're probably has a lot of pressure, but for other reasons right now, and that's not always say his last name wrong. It's Dylan Raiola. Raiola from Nebraska.
Yes.
He's getting attention, but for some of the wrong reasons, I guess, depending on who you ask, because the comparison is there because he looks like or people think he looks like a certain quarterback that plays for Kansas City Chiefs.
I hate comparisons like that. I swear to God,
said, the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback was at his game last night.
He was.
Just to watch him play, and he performed pretty well. And really, he's a guy that kind of started this, I don't want to say started it, but he was one of the key guys in this youth movement of quarterbacks last year for the Big Ten, starting as a true freshman. And so now, as coming in as a sophomore, I think very few people are looking at Nebraska as far as being somebody that should be worried about. Like, they're kind of looked at like they're not the Nebraska of old. And Ndamukong Suh is not walking through that door, at
No,
any time.
it's not Matt Rule that's going to take that program to the next level. It's Dylan Raiola that people expect to take that program to the next level. Their status as an elite blue blood, whatever you want to say in college football, it depends on Dylan Raiola's growth and how he keeps composed or not under pressure. So we'll see if he can take that next step this season. But you're so right to bring him up that he's definitely got talent. But yeah, a lot of pressure on Dylan Raiola for Nebraska as well.
Yeah, so lots of guys in the Big Ten. It's going to be hard for Dante Moore to really establish himself as one of the great ones. But if he can do that, man, I think that hard work will pay off, and hopefully he'll find himself in the running for the Heisman. So we'll see. But for right now, I think we all believe that the crown in the Big Ten belongs to Drew Allar, and Drew Allar just has to do his best to hang on to it throughout the season, which is going to be tough for this Penn State team. So we'll see.
And it's more so questions still about his coach, James Franklin. Obviously, in the playoff, he broke that streak of 1-15 against teams in the top 10. But now we're back to the regular season, so stat's kind of brought up all over again.
So we'll see. So James Franklin has, like you said, as much to prove as Drew Allar does at this point. All right. So coming up next, man, Fan Man. He's coming in. Dusty Harrow. Are we going to get him on the phone? We're going to ask him some questions about this game today, U of O. If you have any questions that you wanted to ask Dusty, go ahead and send it to the text line, man. We'll make sure we try to get that into him. But if not, man, we already got some questions prepared. That's coming up next right here. Sports Saturday, 105.1 The Fan Network.
Gain a global perspective.
on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 and 1080 The Fan.
Oh, it's a party in here now, man. We got Swag in the building all of a sudden behind the glass. What's going on, Swag? Yeah, big hand wave from him, man.
He's showing me stuff.
Yeah, man. You know, always got to come in and show love to the youngsters, man. But it is 8:17.
Am I a youngster?
I mean, yeah, younger than all of us. I think. Are you the youngest person here at the Fan?
I am 36, so I guess after
I think Joe
left.
I think Joe is the youngest.
Yeah, Joe's 33.
Yeah,
so.
Joe's the youngest. So yeah, second youngest then here at the Fan.
That's weird.
Well, for one of the guys is younger than me, but he's definitely a vet, man. He's my guy. He's also the boss, and he's also the host of Ducks Game Day with Andy Dirt Johnson and Anthony Newman. It's our guy, Dusty Fanman Hare. I got him on the line. What's up, Dusty? How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, man, we're feeling good. It's game day, man. Guess what day it is? What you mean?
I know. There's a buzz down here at Austin Stadium already, and that's the best feeling in the world is when you go to a stadium on a game day and you get there early and you can already see the buzz is growing. We're all around the stadium. You got from our new broadcast location for game day, we're right next to North Ticket Box, right across from the Boy Scout lots, and there's already cars filing in. You got tailgates already set up. You can hear you can smell the barbecues already starting up. That means football's back, baby.
That's awesome, man. I know the vibe has got to be awesome down there, but I'm curious, like, if you could tell me, like, what's the kind of the vibe between, like, the staff and, you know, kind of the people that are closer to the Ducks organization right now? How good are they feeling about this season open and really this season in general?
Yeah, I think they're feeling good because this is what recruiting does. It's an uneasy feeling for everybody else because you're sitting there and you're feeling all of the faces that are gone. Only Pancho Laululea is the only guy returning on the offense as a starter from a year ago, but it's an important one. He's, your starting center. But there's also a lot of pieces that return that we saw grow over the course of the year, whether it's guys like Noah Whittington, who was coming back from injury last year and started to really find his footing again after that Purdue game and looked like the old Noah Whittington. Justice Lowe, Gary Bryant Jr., who have gone through injuries over the last couple of seasons, but they're a little bit of known commodities. But what they're confident in and what they're excited about the most is the fact that, look, this is recruiting. They've seen all of these guys, and we've heard their names, but it's kind of like minor league baseball where you draft a player and then you kind of forget about him for a year because he goes down to the minors, and then you're like, oh, yeah, this guy's back. And you're keeping track of these guys and their growth and their opportunities, and that's what recruiting does for you, man. When you're getting those 4- and 5-star guys, you're growing talent and developing them, and that's where the confidence and the excitement is about this program because there's a lot of these guys that aren't household names yet, but there's a strong belief that they will become the household names once games get going and you become familiar with them.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns right now for this Ducks team, but I want to ask you, you mentioned Justice Lowe. Tez Johnson is in the NFL now. Trayshawn Holden's gone. Evan Stewart's hurt. But you do have DeCorian Moore, who I think a lot of people are high on as a freshman. You have a new transfer in Malik Benson coming from Florida State. How good can this wide receiver room be from the University of Oregon?
I know it's a cause for concern for a lot of people out there, but I'm not as concerned because of what I just said in that the recruiting and then their growth and development. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are gone, but there's a reason why the young guys didn't play a year ago, and it's because there was a lot of talent on this team, and they had an opportunity to sit for a year, hone their craft, mature, learn the offense, and really become experts in what they were doing. And I think this receiving core, I know there's a lot of consternation about it and uneasiness because the household names are gone. But you got guys like Jeremiah McClellan, who is a highly touted recruit coming out of high school, who you are going to see a whole heck of a lot of come 1 o'clock in Austin Stadium. I feel like he is going to be a guy that pops this year. Kyler Casper, who's a big body receiver on the outside, played in spots a year ago. He's going to be a name that is going to start to grow on people, and they're going to get familiar with him. It is weird, though, that like the most known commodity in the skill positions right now, it feels like is DeCorian Moore, who we've never seen play college football before, just because of his profile coming out of high school and knowing his skill set and what he's able to do. they've got burners, whether it is Malik Benson that you mentioned, the Florida State, Alabama transfer. DeCorian Moore is a burner. They're going to be able to stretch the field vertically, but that opens up the underneath. And when you have an underneath game that involves Kenyon Sadiq and then involves Rajasali Apaga or Jamari Johnson, the two other tight ends that they have, we know how Will Stein's offense is so heavy on the back being an outlet, right? Whether it's in the flat, on a wheel,
right,
on that rail route coming up the seam, the running backs being viable targets. And Jeremiah McClellan, man, he is going to be a possession receiver. He is a catch the ball in traffic kind of guy. He's a get open precision route runner. He's not the guy who's going to blow by you and get wide open, but he catches everything in traffic. He's a great route runner, and he's going to be that underneath thing. So if you got two guys that can stretch you vertically, you have the underneath targets, and that makes life so much easier for a quarterback in Dante Moore, who we've seen so much growth from the fall when he came in, and it was a learning process. It was absorbing everything that Dylan Gabriel could teach him to now mastering the offense and knowing where everybody's going to be, and that quick processing is there.
Hey, Dusty, I wanted to ask you about a guy that you just brought up in Kenyon Sadiq. I heard Will Stein over this summer telling some of the media from the Big Ten that he just wishes he had the opportunity to throw to him more last season, looking at what he has this year coming into training camp. So I'm kind of curious to see if he's going to be like the focal point of the offense now. I know he was compared to possibly a Brock Bowers last season and that Swiss Army knife of the offense. Now that he's not behind Terrence Ferguson, not behind Patrick Herbert, how much do you think Dante Moore gets him the ball? Because I've heard Will Stein say many times he wants to get it to him a lot.
Yeah, he's going to be featured, that's for sure. But, the interesting thing with a guy like Kenyon Sadiq is that he has, as you mentioned, Brock Bowers had the speed to be a route runner and to be a receiver. He's not just an inline hand-in-the-ground tight end. In fact, I think if Will Stein had his druthers, he wouldn't have Kenyon Sadiq's hand in the ground. He would be in the slot or on the outside, even when they're setting up their screen game, and then that screen pop where he releases downfield, or at that nub position where he's lined up as a wing. And because that gives him more space, and guys can't get hands-on, right? And I think we're going to see a lot of Kenyon Sadiq. He's going to be tired after today. I think after this season, he's going to be a little bit wore out because of the use of motion that they're going to use. They're going to send him across the formation. They're going to start him wide, bring him in tight, send him back out wide. They're going to start him, I don't know if we've seen it before, start him in the backfield, move him out, and then he's going to be moving. And that's the one way that you can scheme a guy open that's going to garner a lot of attention. And when you have a guy like Kenyon Sadiq, who you can put him inside, outside, and you have the versatility and the comfort to use him in both of those spaces, that is such an advantage for Dante Moore, because the defense will have to tell you what they're doing. If you have two guys that are responsible for Kenyon Sadiq and you're motioning him around, that's a tell for the coverage that you're going to get. And for Dante Moore, that's invaluable. Any advantage that he can get to have the defense give him a tell is going to be a tremendous advantage for this offense. And I think that's what we're going to kind of see early from Kenyon Sadiq. He may not get as many touches as a lot of fans are going to be expecting, but his use and his value are going to be through the roof.
So you kind of mentioned Oregon's new trigger man. Dante Moore officially named the number one quarterback today for the University of Oregon. How high are expectations for Dante Moore? I don't know if you heard earlier in the show, but we talked about the list of great Oregon quarterbacks that have come through over the last little bit, and it's pretty much a who's who. Most of those guys have gone on to play significant minutes in the NFL. How high are these expectations for this new quarterback?
Pretty high. I mean, they're big shoes to fill, and the expectations don't drop when the new signal caller comes in, And whether, that is, I didn't see, did they actually announce that it was Dante Moore?
I saw Bleacher Report a second ago announce that he was the number one.
And that's something that you sit there and you go, he has a lot of weight on his shoulders. And his freshman year at UCLA, you saw that burden on him because he was uncomfortable, and he was uncomfortable because of, pressure from the offensive line, a lack of weapons that they had at UCLA, and of the amount of pressure that, a five-star quarterback has on him when he comes in and he is the day one starter. I think the thing that has been the most impressive about him, and probably what he gleaned the most from Dylan Gabriel in that year of just sitting behind him, is the preparation and the not caring about what other people think. Just do what you do. And that's kind of Dan Lanning's mantra. Dan Lanning was on the podcast I do with Cole Linehan and the program. And he said, I talked to him about expectations. He said, it would matter if I care what other people thought. And that is exactly how this entire Oregon program is operating right now. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's all within. And that pressure is probably going to start mounting from the outside in as the season goes on and he performs well, right?
Right.
But today he kind of has that blank slate because they're so insulated to everything from the outside. They don't hear all the noise. The noise doesn't make it into the facility, and he's just been able to prepare. I think the pressure comes as the season goes on and the expectations continue to rise and Oregon's profile continues to rise across the country.
Last question for you, Dusty, man. It's been 273 days since the last game was played at Autzen Stadium. It was UW versus Oregon. Obviously, Oregon won. How good does it feel to be back at Autzen and be ready for football?
Oh, I love it. I just love football.
It's so much fun, right?
Last night, it is so much fun. Last night I went and I saw my nephew playing his first varsity football game out at Scappoose High School, and it was just like all the warm feelings came back. And my happy place is in a football stadium on a game day, and to be back, it is the best feeling in the world. It's something that I grew up with. My dad was a coach, so every game day was special, and going to games was always something that I loved and I cherished, and being around his players and coaching staff, and then just fans in a stadium when you hear a roar for the first time every season, it's an awesome feeling. And so I know that it's going to be a packed house today, and they had some limited tickets earlier in the week. I think all those are gone now. I think this is going to be a raucous environment. It's going to be a fun one today.
Well, that's awesome. I hope you have a good time, and I hope you have a great show. He is the host of Ducks Game Day with Andy Dirt Johnson and Anthony Newman. Dusty, thank you so much, my guy.
I appreciate you, Rashad.
Appreciate
See you
you.
later, Schulte.
See you later, brother.
All right, man. He is the host. He is the boss. He's a little bit of everything here at the Fan, man. He is the Fan, man. There's only one Dusty here, and we appreciate him for checking in. And I just got word, the host of this show, Joe Fisher, we're going to talk to him too at some point.
We're getting a call in from Joe.
We're going to get a call in from Joe.
He said he would.
Yeah, he did say he would. I told him not to go to Oakland. Hopefully, if he did, or not to go to Richmond. You can go to Oakland, but if you go to Richmond, keep them doors locked.
It's because he knew we were going to talk Micah Parsons, so he's like, no,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah, so I'm curious to know what my guy thinks. One, about his Oregon Ducks, and then two, about his Dallas Cowboys. So, you know what? Let's get Joe on the line now. Let's not wait. We can get Joe.
All right, I'll call him after this episode.
We'll call him after the break, but first, Jordan has sports.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, week 1 of college football officially here. The number 7 Oregon Ducks kicking off the season hosting the Montana State Bobcats. You got game day coverage with Dusty Hara, Andy Dirt Johnson, and Anthony Newman getting going right here following Sports Saturday at 9 a.m. on the Fan Sports Network. Then you got pregame network with Jerry Allen and Mike Jorgensen starting at 11, kickoff at 1 on the Big Ten Network, and of course right here on the Fan as well. Over to the Oregon State side of things, they're in action for week 1 down at Reser Stadium hosting the Cal Bears. 7:30 kick on ESPN. 1.5-point favorites at home, so we'll see if that line moves by this evening. In baseball, the Seattle Mariners dropping a hard one to the Guardians. They had a 4-2 lead going into the bottom of the 9th, but Cleveland ends up winning 5-4 with a walk-off. They'll be back in action this afternoon, 4:15 first pitch in Cleveland. That one's not a Root Sports TV broadcast. That's a national TV broadcast on Fox. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for Seahawks football, the Fan Sports Network, 105. Sports Saturday on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 and 1080 The Fan.
8:34 here on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. And it is beautiful outside, man. Probably not as beautiful weather as my guy Joe Fisher is experiencing. He is in beautiful, beautiful California, in the Bay Area to be exact. Joe, what's good, bro?
What is up?
Man.
Just walking out the hotel doors. You're going to hang out amongst the people of San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's pretty dang nice out here.
How you feeling, buddy? You okay?
What are you talking about?
I haven't really talked to you since the other day. I wanted to ask about Micah and, with your buddy being gone out of Dallas, like, are you doing okay? You eating?
What happened to Micah? Is he okay?
Well, no, he's good, but not for you guys anymore. He's great, but, yeah. So I'm not sure if you heard that, but Micah Parsons has been traded to the Green Bay Packers for a couple of first-round picks and another defensive tackle. Man, kind of changed the trajectory for this Cowboys team. Curious to know. I know we got a lot of Duck stuff to talk about, but I just wanted to ask you before we started, man, how are you feeling about trading arguably the best defensive player in the league?
You just broke the news to me, Rashad. I had no idea this happened. Oh my God.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. I didn't want to be the one. I'm sure, I was wondering why you weren't answering. I was wondering why you weren't answering calls or texts, but now we know. But yeah, man, just was curious how probably I think the lone Dallas fan of all of us here at the Fan is feeling about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jason Swigard, he changed teams like a 5-year-old. Well, I feel like that is not talked about enough.
I think when your team doesn't give you enough, it's okay to abandon ship. When your team isn't doing enough for you, it's okay to jump off.
Hey, listen, after what happened the other day on a Thursday, it was one of those moments where I'm like, you know what, I think I understand Jason Swigard and why he did what he did now.
No, so
it's brutal. Like, I think everybody was on the same boat as far as, like, this was going to happen as far as Jerry and him coming to terms and he's going to be a Cowboy. So, I was just as stunned as everyone else. But it's a good thing I became a dead inside Cowboys fan a year and a half ago. Because when it happened, I was just like, of course they didn't get this done. Of course Jerry has all the ego in the world and couldn't make a deal happen. Of course they traded him. Of course it didn't work out in the Cowboys' favor because, of course, Jerry Jones had to get in the way and ruin things just like he always does. So,
well,
yeah.
I mean, he is Jerry.
It's not surprising.
Yeah, it is not surprising. I'll be honest, I was super surprised, though. But I think somebody has something they want to address with you.
Are you really going to get on my case about this? I'm the most justified person for 4 years ago, finally, as a grown man, not putting up with another grown man lying to me for the number of years. And it was a long process. It was a hard breakup, man. There were great, great, great times. But as a grown man, you can't have another man just continue to lie to you and continue to put up with that crap anymore. Join me, Joe. It's liberating. Find another team. Find a real team. Find a team that's going to at least be honest with you, even if they suck.
The Patriots are hiring. Come on, guys. Come mess with us over here.
I won't do it.
Come do it.
I won't do
we
it.
are America's team for real.
I'm a sick individual, man. I just can't do it.
Did either of you see the I know, Joe, you said you weren't watching it. Swag, I'm not sure if you saw it.
No, I haven't seen the Netflix.
It was actually pretty legit. It makes you see why Jerry thinks he can do the things he can do. It makes you see why he thinks he can do it. He did have a lot of success early on, but after that, it's been just 30 years of terrible decisions.
Well, he never learned how to operate in the salary cap. He caused the salary cap to come in because he paid more for his backups on defense on those Super Bowl teams than most people were paying for their starters. So he'll write the check. He's always been willing to write the check. The problem is when you can't just continue to write checks to buy your ass out of trouble, whether it's on a football field or in a coach. He didn't know what to do.
What do you mean? He's rich. That's what rich people do. They write checks and figure. And when you look at, go ahead, Joe.
I was just saying, he's a terrible GM. I mean, like, the guy's a great owner. I mean, you can say that all day long.
Right.
You have the most valuable franchise in Dallas. It's not in New York. It's not in Los Angeles. It's not in Chicago. It's not a soccer team over in the Premier League. Like, Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable ever. But you don't get a trophy for that. And you get a trophy for putting a winning roster together. And he can't do that. And it's just again, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked that, this was an ever round and find out move for Jerry and Micah kind of, but two egos that were clashing. And yeah, I'm just like shocked, but also, of course they couldn't get it worked out.
Joe, in your opinion, who has it worse, Mavericks fans or Cowboys fans? Because the city of Dallas is feeling it this year.
Ooh, I would say at least Mavericks, because at least they or who has it worse, Cowboys fans, because at least the Mavericks got Cooper Flag out of this. If the Cowboys somehow end up getting, Arch Manning next year or something like that.
Okay, take Cooper out of it. How about that? Say Cooper didn't happen in that lexicon. What would you say?
Yeah, I'm going to still give it to the Mavericks being or the Cowboys being worse off, because the Mavericks at least have a championship within the last 15 years.
Yeah, and at least they still have a Kyrie, they still have a Anthony Davis, they still got people that expected to compete. Cowboys just lost their most competitive piece, but I want to make sure before we let you go, Joe, man, obviously today is a huge day. Your University of Oregon Ducks take on the Montana State Bobcats, man. It should be a pretty easy win for the Ducks, but what do you think Dante Moore and this new look Ducks team need to do to be successful today?
Yeah, I need a big dub. I need a big offensive performance out of Dante Moore and the Ducks. The best player on my favorite football team got traded away. I just watched my Orioles give up 15 runs. Our pets'
heads are falling off. Yeah, that's where we are right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I need Dante Moore in this offense to show out. I've been seeing some scores, some predictions that they don't cover the spread. I'm going full honk here. I'm saying they cover. It's a classic FBS-FCS Week 1 matchup where the Ducks just come out and absolutely stomp a mud hole in them, and then you're riding into Week 2 feeling great about where this team is at. I'm going to go Ducks 45, Montana State 10.
Ooh, okay. I like it.
Big dub.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Oh, more than a chance. Like I said, I just need to what's the speak good things into existence. That's what I need to do right now, because I'm at a low point. I'm in a sad state as a sports fan. Okay, so I need the Ducks to rally and lift my spirits up a little bit here, because it's getting sad. It's getting messy. I need the Ducks to win, and I need Blazers basketball to start so I can watch some Jan Consent, baby.
Yeah, that's right around the corner. But any big plans today? Where are you watching the game?
I don't know where I'm watching the game yet. I know I'm going to walk back to my hotel room, kick my feet up, and watch this Texas-Ohio State game. And then the plan is that the Ducks are routing Montana State by 3 o'clock, because we have a catamaran boat that's going to take us out on the bay and near the Golden Gate Bridge and stuff like that. So that's awesome. That's reserved for 3:30. So this game better be out of hand by then, because I do not want to be paying attention to it while on a boat.
Are you going to go to Alcatraz?
Going around the bay. No, I'm not. I think we'll go by it, but I don't think we're not stopping and going in. That's not. I don't need to do that.
No.
I just want to be on a boat.
You don't want to go in there.
Drinking some libations and check out the Golden Gate Bridge, and knowing that my Ducks have a W well in hand.
Well, I think you're going to get all those things happen today, because I don't foresee the Ducks losing this game. Yeah. So everything else is up to you.
Like I said, I need a dub, damn it.
Yeah, I think the Ducks are going to provide that dub for you, but everything else is going to be totally up to you. Joe, man, be safe, man. Have a good time, man, you and your people. And, man, we'll see you next week, bro.
Yes, sir. See you guys. A good job getting up at 7 a.m. I was concerned when I woke up this morning. I had to check the YouTube. I was like, did they make it? And sure enough, you did.
We definitely made it. I was here bright and early. I was here at 6 o'clock, man. I had to make sure. It's the first show, leading into the Ducks. I had to make sure we were on point today.
Yeah, you like those new show opens, buddy?
I do. I was saying, man, shout out to you. You missed the shout out I gave you a little earlier, man. Yeah, you definitely did that. So good job.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm a big I have a Boobie Miles jersey. So I'm a huge Friday Night Lights guy. So I love the second hour open Friday Night Lights. So shout out to you for that, man. So yes, we'll see you next week, my guy.
All right, see you later.
That is Joe Fisher, sales extraordinaire and host of this show. Man, so it looks like he's having a great time as always, and hopefully we'll all be having a great time today, because this is the first day of the college football season here in the state of Oregon, and let's talk about how we're going to spend it. We'll do that next as we end the show right here, 105.1 The Fan, the Fan Sports Network.
1 and 1080, The Fan.
Well, it's a party right now at the Fan. Everybody's here. It is Ducks football Saturday. Obviously, Oregon State's playing today, but we are not the Oregon State station. We are the Ducks station. And coming up next is Ducks game day from 9 to 11. You can hear Andy Dirt Johnson. You just heard Dusty Hara, and you will hear Anthony Newman. And they will be on from 9 to 11. And after that will be the actual kind of Ducks pregame show, and then 1 o'clock kick. So, yeah, it's going to be a full day. I see Rusty's here, and he's already. Oh, okay. Let's bump that.
Bump it back again.
No, Rusty's here, and he's already ready for work and everything. So it's going to be a long day for all of us.
I think
Jordan's got the long haul today.
Rusty and I have producer anxiety. Like if you've ever worked in radio, you know what that is. And I think Rusty and I are like 1,000% on that meter.
So quick
today.
story. So last week, Joe and I do a show on location at the Indoor Golf Club.
Yeah.
Swag as well. Swag had a show as well.
Portland Indoor Golf Club.
Portland, and it was a great show. Shout out to the owners there and all the members there. It was a super, super cool space. So the show is ending, right? So Viva La Vida is playing and everything, and we're doing our sign off, and Joe is doing the whole thing. And the show ends, and mind, all we can still hear is whatever's in our headphones. And then we hear Jordan go on a 45-second F and S, what the F is going on? How effing? I'm just like, whoa, what the heck is happening right now? And then Joe and I are both sitting there like, please tell me that went on air. Please tell me that went on over the air and everything. Because we couldn't tell. Like at that point, like once the show stops, our headphones are still on. So we can still hear our producer when we're on location. But we don't know. But we can also hear whatever is playing on the station. So we don't know that anything is still live at that point. And so, yeah, we heard that. I was like, that's that producer anxiety you were talking about. I'm sure every one of you producers have went through curse-laden filled, like, man.
I've got two of them around me right now. Yeah, we're.
Oh, for sure. Who's got the, I guess, biggest potty mouth of the three of you guys in there right now?
I think it's a competition between Rusty and myself. And I
am an old bartender, so.
Yeah, Rusty's an old bartender, and I'm just a degenerate, like, perv. So I think it's kind of a toss-up, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like Swag probably wouldn't be the best cursor for whatever. Oklahoma.
Hey, F you, man.
Hey, man.
He'd curse like
Get your A
Walken.
out of here. Yeah, get your A out of here.
Get your ass out of here.
Yeah, you know.
It's over, ass.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like Swag would have a tough time. I'd love to hear Swag like just be super pissed. I've seen him frustrated, but I've never seen Swag like super pissed off, like knocking stuff over. Like I would love to see like that side of Jason Swigart as I watch him out there. Kind of this anxiety getting ready for this game, or getting ready for these on location kind of things are super stressful for you guys.
And now you've heard that side of me. So enjoy.
Oh yeah. Oh well, I've always heard that side of you, but hearing it when I wasn't around you, thinking that might have went out over air was the best feeling in the world. It's like, oh, please tell me we got that. I wish we could have marked just that part right there.
I mean, God, I've sworn on the air before in my career, but like if my rant went on air, that probably would have been the end.
I sworn on the air a couple times. I didn't mean to, both times. One time was like super egregious. It was like, whoa, did that just really happen? Well, when you're talking to your friends, which is essentially what you, myself, and Joe are doing, and all of our hosts are doing.
Yeah, we're talking having a beer, man.
We're just talking to our friends, and sometimes things slip out. Luckily, we have a nice little dump button. So you guys don't know it, the listeners right now, but we're kind of on a bit of a delay, right? There's like maybe
we got like 7 seconds.
Yeah, 7 second
like
delay. So if you're just hearing this, I said it 7 seconds ago. It's just kind of one of those things. So when we do accidentally make a mistake, we have the ability to get rid of it. Unless it's on YouTube. That part, it's just
that's the beautiful thing about the stream and the YouTube is you can go catch what was actually said.
Yeah, you can catch what we actually said, which probably would definitely get us in some trouble. But Jordan, I'm curious how you're spending your game day today outside of being here in the studio.
Once Dixie is once the game is over, I'm going to Dixie Tavern tonight. As I meant to say, I kind of strike that, reverse it. But I'm here till 7 tonight. Got the post game tonight with Buck and myself, so we'll be wrapping up coverage of Oregon and Montana State here on the Fan Sports Network, and then headed off to dance, baby.
That's what's up, man. That should be good. I just heard Russ tell us he's going to the coast for the weekend. I waited too long to kind of make coast reservations, and everything is super expensive. So it looks like that's out. I was even thinking about just driving down for the day, but I don't want to do that. Once I get there, I want to stay. You start having some drinks, you have some food.
It's
like,
hard
man,
to
I
drive
wanna stay.
back.
It's tough to drive back, and I wish I could camp outside. My wife is definitely not going for that. But
have you ever thought about RV life or anything like that?
I want one so bad.
Yeah, my wife and I have been looking at the class, not the crappy vans like the Bs, but the B pluses. So like those in between the Cs, but they don't quite have a bed over the top, but they still have space enough for a king size.
A family of 5. I just need something for a family of 5 or 6. You know, I used to take my godfather. We would take RVs down to like Seaside all the time, and just stay in there. And as long we had the Sega Genesis hooked up to the TV and all type of stuff, like that was that. As I think about it, I love the coast, the Oregon coast, Seaside, specifically Seaside, because of those trips when I was a kid. Like, it's not the same anymore, but getting an RV, being with your people, you know, having a place to sleep, a place to cook, a place to do all those things, like, is super, super convenient. So, yes, I tell my wife all the time, I would love an RV.
Yeah,
that
camping,
would be amazing.
man. Actually, we just planned a camping trip with the peeps we hung out with last night. We're going here in, I think, 3 or 4 weeks before it gets too cold at the end of September.
Now, did you go camping at all this summer?
No, we did not. But we were my wife and I were in Boston. We were in Seattle a bunch. Honestly, we were so busy that I don't think we could have slipped camping in there just because we were just too exhausted.
Yeah, I didn't get anywhere this summer, which sucks, man. So that's why I was really wanting to get somewhere this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I might have to wait till next weekend or something like that. So,
I mean, it's still, hell, we got 95 degrees coming at us, I think, like Wednesday or Thursday. So it's still going to be hot. So.
No, yeah. I did want to check in just before we get out of here, man. We've talked a lot of Ducks, talked a lot of, Big Ten. We touched on a little bit talking to Joe. Micah Parsons, this deal was one of the more surprising deals in all of college, all of NFL play. Just,
I think history.
I thought for sure Micah Parsons was going to sign this deal. I thought he was going to stay in Dallas. I thought everything was smoke. We talked about it before. It reminded me of the Myles Garrett situation that went on a couple of years ago, and eventually he signed his deal and got back on the field. Micah Parsons said he didn't want to be in Dallas anymore, and I think Jerry Jones took that personally and decided to get rid of him. And I think now Jerry is just proving that for a long time we've known this, but I think now it's undeniable he should no longer be in charge of anything in Dallas anymore.
I really hated the comparison to the Herschel Walker trade. And by the way, so let's break this down really quick. If you've been living under a rock, edge rusher Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys flipped to the Green Bay Packers for Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark. So they did get an immediate impact player in return, as well as 2 first-round picks in 26 and 27. Good old oil tycoon Jerry freaking Jones got up on the pulpit and said, this is similar to the Herschel Walker deal because those 2 draft picks could become Pro Bowl players in the future. For
they could
Cowboys.
Become Emmitt Smith. It could. We'll see.
But
we'll see.
There were how many picks that they got out of the Herschel Walker trade compared to this? These are 2 first-round
5 picks for Herschel
exactly.
Walker.
Yeah. This was a different situation that Jerry Jones is comparing this to. The Cowboys fleeced the Minnesota Vikings. They basically acquired players in that trade that they then released, and in the conditions of them releasing them, that means they would get a draft pick in return. So they basically had this, underbelly plan the whole time.
Which Jerry was smart for that.
Exactly.
I'll give him that.
And
he was smart for that.
And he's comparing himself now in 2025, trading away. I get Herschel Walker was good at the time, but Micah Parsons, man, those impact defensive players don't come along very often. And the fact that he's touting himself for trading that kind of guy away and comparing it to such a historic move just proves
that he made.
He needs to, that he made. I mean, I get it. He's full of himself, but it's time for him to get the hell out.
Yeah. Speaking of getting out, man, not an exit that we actually wanted to see, but it's one we're getting. The great Lee Corso, this is his last game day that he had just earlier, put on the big head for the last time. And Lee Corso is somebody I'll definitely remember for watching college football for all these years, man, playing NCAA college football on PlayStation 2 or Xbox 360. And, he will be missed, as a personality. There's only one Lee Corso, and man, I appreciate him. Thank you for making college football fun for all these years for me. So yeah.
Agree with you, although he is an example that I will try to follow, that I need to get out 5 years sooner than I think of whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to end like that.
Either way, but if you don't want to end like that, but you definitely want the pomp and circumstance that he's getting. So shout out to Lee Corso. And shout out to all of you. Go Ducks. We'll see. Man, 1 o'clock kick right here on the Fan Sports Network, Big Ten Network, man. Thank you for rocking with us, man. I appreciate you, Jordan.
Yeah, I love you, Rashad. Love you all out there, man. Go Ducks. This is going to be a fun one. Excited to get the season kicked off today.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Be safe, man. For Jordan Schultz, I'm Rashad Taylor. We will see you next week, 9 a.m. Peace.
This Friday and Saturday only at Old Navy. Tees are $4 for